I'm Michelle. I am 53 years old and I have hereditary breast and ovarian cancer syndrome. I'm BRCA1 positive. My journey started out, I was 31 years old and got a phone call that my 30-year-old sister had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'll never forget getting that phone call, just feeling so helpless and frustrated and wondering why. She's healthy, she just finished breastfeeding, she's never smoked, she's never drank, she's got a healthy weight. Why is this happening? And she's just such a lovely person. Of course, all the scans began and she had brain and lung metastases. So what do you say to your sister when she calls and says that? The only thing I can say was, I don't know what to say. I'm so incredibly sorry. And then you just move forward. So that was in the fall, and she wanted us to all be together at Christmas and have our last Christmas. We all knew at the time that that would be our last Christmas ever with her. She was a very wonderful, dear, caring person. One of the stories I like to tell about her was when I went to be with her when she had her mastectomy. I was sitting at her bed and I just was so upset and crying, and I laid my head down on her lap as she was laying in her bed, and she was just like stroking my hair and patting my back and telling me everything was going to be okay. And I just realized, holy cow, I'm supposed to be here to support her. Why is she the one consoling me? And I sat up and said that to her, and the way that she helped other people deal with what she was going through was an incredible gift to all of us that were around her. The cancer just started growing rampant. The brain tumors just grew double in a week's time, and it was just really horrific. At the end, we couldn't even talk on the phone or anything just because she just didn't have the energy to do it. She created special gifts for all of her children. She made journals. She recorded herself reading to them their favorite stories. She also wrote letters to them for all of the special lifetime events that they would have, their weddings, their graduations, and all of those things. And it's really heartwarming to see those things be read at the weddings and stuff. It's really, really fabulous that she had the wherewithal at that time to do those special things, so that, she lives on in everything that we do. She's here with me today telling our story. So one of the things that she always did at special occasions was make these chocolate chip muffins. She was a fabulous cook. So that's been something that my family has carried on, and it's a tradition in my family that, my girls have the recipe, we bake them, and we remember her. So she lives on in a lot of the things that we do. I was 38 years old when I was diagnosed with my stage 2 triple negative, poorly differentiated BRCA positive breast cancer. My daughters were 14 and 10, so it was a really terrifying time because my sister had just died a few years before that, and so that was really such a fear-based thing, thinking, oh my gosh, mom's gonna die just like Aunt Sherry did, or I'm gonna die. I don't know, I just had a feeling in my heart though that I wasn't going to die, but we're all gonna die someday, but I don't think, hopefully that won't be my demise as a cancer death. But it was just really, really scary, really scary. I am in the medical profession, so I knew enough I had done some reading about genetic testing, so I asked my providers to do this BRCA test on me. So, you get all that stuff when you're first diagnosed, treat the cancer, kill the cancer, so you go through all of that, and I just was doing what my doctors told me to do. Well, lo and behold, after everything was over with, so I had a lumpectomy and a lymph node dissection, chemotherapy and radiation, and then after all of that was over and I started doing some reading, and I also had connected with some people here at Myriad, and they sent me some information and were really great to talk to me on the phone about what was going on in my family. So I did some research and then went back to my team and said, I should have had mastectomies. And then they were like, well, yeah, I suppose. And so I decided to go ahead and do that, and I was kind of prepping for it a few months down the road, and they wanted to do an MRI, and of course it showed something, and I thought, I'm not going to continue to go through this and put my family and my friends through this every time somebody finds something. So I went ahead and had the bilateral mastectomies. I had that done, and you know, as a almost 15-year survivor of all of that, I have a lot of issues and a lot of expenses based on the things that were decided in the beginning of my treatment. So I have physical therapy, massage therapy that I still have to continue to go to. I meet my insurance deductible every single year. So those are all expenses that I've had to build into my budget so that I can make those things happen, to be able to do the half marathons and the triathlons that I like to do and the other things I like to do in my life. So I guess that's one of my big messages to someone just getting started with a cancer diagnosis is think about what you're doing and do your research and use all your resources, nurse navigators, your doctors, your social worker, your genetic counselor, because the decisions that you make in the beginning of your treatment are going to affect you the rest of your life. Family history is such an important part of a person's health, and I'd like to get that message across to people too, whether it's heart disease or a bleeding disorder or cancer. All of those things, you can make a difference in your own health care and be more proactive. If you do have family history of any of those things, go talk to a genetic counselor. Just march into your primary care provider if you think there's anything suspicious and say, I want to talk to a genetic counselor. I see these red flags in my family of young people being diagnosed with whatever disease, and there's a couple of them, and I want to make sure that I don't have a risk of having a genetic condition, and I want to be proactive with my own health care to do everything that I can to prevent that from happening, or at least be knowledgeable so that I know that if I choose not to have a mastectomy and I do mammograms and MRIs, that if I ever do feel something, I need to get in sooner than I would have, you know, waiting through a menstrual cycle to make it go away. So even if you don't want to do the prophylactic surgeries, it just gives you the knowledge to be more persistent with your own health care and do the good things that you should do to either catch a diagnosis early or prevent it altogether. So I knew that I was positive. I was the first one to be tested in my family, and then when we got the word that Myriad wanted to do free testing on my mom, I had to make that phone call to her and say, you know, Mom, they want to test you and see if this came down from your side of the family. I'm estranged from my biological father. My stepdad adopted all of us kids, so I didn't know as much about my paternal side of the family. So my mom was the next best person to test. So making that phone call, the phone call to make to her to tell her that I had breast cancer was horrific after she'd lost a daughter to breast cancer. And then having to call her and say, there might be something in our family. I've tested positive and I want to help the rest of the family and you, so will you consent to this test? They're going to do it on you for free. And she agreed to the test. When the test came back for her, it's been kind of was a huge emotional thing for her. She felt really guilty as a mom that she passed this down to her children. My mom is 73, actually she's 72, and she has never had cancer in her lifetime. So it was really hard for her to process all of that. And so she tested positive, so we knew that it came from that side of the family. Fortunately for me, my two daughters were negative, which was a fabulous day that I'll never ever forget. just that fear as a mom, again, of knowing that you pass something on to your children, and I was so afraid one of them would be positive and one of them would be negative. And so that was really, really hard. And fortunately, they both came back negative. The other people in my family has all the examples. We don't have a huge family history. We were just two young girls that got diagnosed. My mom is positive, and she's that 13% of people that have not ever gotten breast cancer. I have a brother who finally got tested, and he was the male that, you know, didn't really think testing should matter to him because he's a guy. So he finally got tested, and he was positive. So he's now just recently found that out. So he's got to deal with all of that and worry about his children. My younger sister Bridget was negative, and that was a huge relief to her. And you know, negative results to me are just as powerful as positive results. So for her, she knows that her risk is just that sporadic risk of getting breast cancer, 1 in 8 women. And knowing in the future for her children, you know, if they, when all the rest of us are gone and her grandchildren go to the doctor and they see our family history, knowing that my sister was negative and couldn't have passed that down to them is very powerful information, I think. My cousin Kim has also had breast cancer. She was 34 when she was diagnosed, and diagnosed with a second primary at 38, and she's positive. So those are the only people that have been tested in my family. I like to tell the story about one of my cousins who went to her OBGYN and said, hey, I have this mutation in my family, and my 3 cousins had breast cancer, and these 3 people, and he said, well, they're your cousins, that doesn't matter. And I said to her, you know, Gail, it does matter. Kim is my cousin, just like I'm your cousin and she's your cousin, and both of us are positive. So you do need to get tested. Know your family history and know your risk. And if you are suspicious and you can't get your healthcare provider to help you, seek out another healthcare professional. Go talk to a nurse friend. Look for a nurse navigator. Look for another primary care provider, because as the patient, you're the boss of what happens to your health. And you know, you would never go to your car mechanic and say, fix my car, I don't care how much it costs. And you know, you want to know what's wrong with it, why, how much it's going to cost, and what you need to do about to fix it. So you shouldn't just take your health care for granted if you're not getting the answers that you want from your provider or the assistance that you need. Your family history is powerful knowledge, and you can really help your own health and your own family with that. So just be proactive for yourself and get the answers that you know in your heart are important.